My name's Liana, and I am a soldier of the Open Heart War. You may not look at me and think soldier, but that's just because I'm not wearing my Princess Mononoke costume today. But really, I'm a warrior of an open heart, where the battlefield is the ground we walk on every day. The enemy is fear, anger, and self-doubt, and the weapon we wield is compassion. I invite you to close your eyes with me for a moment. First of all, just take a deep breath. Sigh it all out through the mouth. Imagine you are in a warm tropical ocean, sitting on the sand, water no more than waist deep, looking at the horizon, a salmon-colored sunset topped by cotton candy-colored clouds, flanked by majestic purple mountains. The water behind you lapping at the shore, with a grove of trees reaching its branches towards the water, arching above the beach, protecting all the life on it. Now open your eyes and rejoin me. Welcome back. Some of you went into meditation, I can tell. In the safety of your mind and in this space, imagine experiencing a violation in paradise. What would you do? Would that paradise stay paradise? Would that paradise become hell? Well, let me tell you what I did and why everyone thought I was crazy for it. I was going to talk about the actual experience, but I've done that enough in therapy. We've done enough EMDR. What I want to talk about today are the warriors along the way who kept my heart open and who showed me that compassion is the answer, and that meditation can bring you to your inner guide and confirm what only you know, and you decide for yourself. So we'll go through briefly. This experience happened with someone I knew, who I was staying with, on this island in Kauai. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And afterwards, I went to the police, and the nurse there was volunteering. She was doing my intake, and her name is Sisha, and she is with us on Zoom today. There she is. Oh, I see her. Sisha, can you turn your camera on? Okay, that's all right. She's here. She's shy too. And she saw that I had nowhere to go. She saw that I was experiencing trauma, and she did something also unimaginable, something from a place of compassion that only a warrior of an open heart would do. She invited me into her home. She took me in for that whole week. I stayed with her beautiful, beautiful fostered kittens, her adopted daughter, and her hunky orthopedic surgeon husband. And I was bathed in love and kindness and compassion. And that hell that I found myself in at the turn of one night became paradisiacal again. And it wasn't the island that had changed. It was my mind. It was the same beach, the same leaves, but it was my experience of it that shifted. And I had the help of some warriors along the way to do that. But my initial response was forgiveness, which was maybe not as accessible for a lot of people. But beyond that, it was to want him to not experience his suffering anymore. And I ended up back on the island, and I ended up seeing him in a grocery store. And I felt all that fear come back after all that EMDR. And I knew that my work was not done. And I actually chose to take my power back. I felt that fear. I knew that I needed to confront him, to tell my story, and to forgive him truly, fully, and feel compassion. That was my instinct. I followed through with it. And it was a revolutionary moment for me. I told him my story, and he confessed that he had tried to kill himself twice in that past year after what had happened. And it's not about him, but I saw his suffering, and I knew that what I experienced was the sharp edge of it. Suffering creates more suffering. Compassion creates more compassion. At the end of it, we hugged, and I felt my heart break open and just this light pour out into him, and to see what that kindness did, how that healed me and how that healed him was more powerful than anything I've experienced. And that is when I started to lose the battle. That is when I started to lose the war. Because I told people in my life this story, and they met me with voices saying, "Isn't it your ethical and moral responsibility to put this person in prison? Are you not perpetuating this suffering?" I started to question myself. I started to wonder if my compassion had been the wrong answer. And compassion is not to condone, it's not to justify. I stipulated, this can never happen again. You need to get help. You need to find a way to remove yourself of your demons. I hadn't met meditation yet. I would have recommended it then if I'd known. And I went through life without a compass from that point on. I really thought I had done the wrong thing until I found meditation, and I found my inner guide through it. I sat and I listened to my own voice. In this past 10 weeks, I actually listened to my inner guide. And I knew that compassion was the answer. I stand in front of you today knowing that compassion is the answer, and moving through life with that, I can experience anything, give compassion, and not allow the suffering to touch my heart and poison my interactions with all of the people around me. So I have a confession also. This whole story I just told you was actually to recruit you to join. Be a soldier of the open heart war. You all are doing it already, but you will all experience more suffering. I ask you to please meet it with compassion. The people that are involved, whether it's yourself or someone else, give that compassion. It's the only way forward. It's the only way to heal. It's the only way to plant the seeds to create a better world. Thank you, Sisha. Thank you, my mom, who is also in the Zoom, who did tell me that compassion was the right thing as well. But it had to come from me. It had to come from my mind for me to believe it. Thank you, everyone.